if this kind of shit doesn't make an airtight case for immediately stopping all foreign aid, I don't know what does. I guarantee that every single country we help with tax money is not helping the people stricken by disasters or famines. Most of it goes back to crooked politicians who get kickbacks. Donald Trump and Rudy are digging into this mountain of corruption, and the cabal is scared shitless. They're caught, and it is obvious you'll never see anything like what you're about to see and hear on CNN. The mainstream media are the enemy of the people, as our beloved president stated many times. We are the news now. I'll bet DARPA wishes they never invented ARPANET, which eventually morphed into what we know today as the Internet. So many uniquely talented individuals, each with a very different perspective, each with his or her own methodology for approaching a problem, each with a distinct personality, all of us working towards a common goal, has brought these demons to the brink of insanity. They can no longer hide their lies because their ally, the mainstream media, is going broke by being scooped by fedora-wearing guys with cell phones. We killed them, but they obviously don't know they're dead yet. Like Kuffel and Esser, continued to manufacture slide rules long after digital calculators were invented. They are obsolete. To fully understand all of this, why these people are trying to take down this president is obvious to a blithering idiot. The reason is that he is one of us. He ran in their circles and saw what he saw. He refused to join their Satan-worshipping, cannibalistic cult. He vowed to expose them, just like JFK and Princess Diana. Only he knows full well the evil these apparencies of bipedal hominids are capable of.
I think, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind me saying, I think you're facing a more dangerous foe today than the Gambino crime family.
There's no question about it. I'll tell you why. First of all, they are capable of murder. I mean, they murder people. The Ukrainian and Russian organized crime, that kind of overlaps. Number two, they have media protection that the mafia never had.
Yes.
I mean, basically 80% of the media in this country is complicit in their ability to commit these crimes because they don't report them.
And if you are aware of a threat to the national security, as the BBC was on the infamous day of 9/11, reading from prepared scripts written months in advance, then you are just as guilty as the ones whose crimes you covered up. And if you are President of the United States, or any country for that matter, and you not only don't investigate corruption, you become part of it, then you're a traitor. Period. Yeah, that's you, Barry Soetoro.
You know, when Donald Trump said the media is an enemy of the country, you know, I thought those was really harsh words, and I didn't think it was phrased exactly right. I'm telling you, Glenn, 100% agree with you.
Of course, I was with him all through the campaign, and when he first said it, I used to tell him, please temper it down.
Yes, yeah.
He's understating.
He is.
He's understating. What I've seen here, look, it's been clear since December 8th of 2015 that Joe Biden and Hunter Biden were involved in corruption in the Ukraine. The New York Times wrote it. They said Hunter Biden is getting paid by the most crooked company in the Ukraine, by the most crooked guy in the Ukraine, who's a fugitive, and his father is in charge of giving out the money in the Ukraine. It takes an IQ of about 10 to figure out that that's a crime.
And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
And if that is not a quid pro quo based on extortion, Well, you intellectually challenged soy boy libtardosis victims, please enlighten me on just what the fizzuck do you call what Creepy Joe just admitted.
So I'm holding a
And
document.
they covered it up.
I'm holding a document here. I mean, they call this a conspiracy theory. This is from the prosecutor's office of the Republic of Latvia. It is the Office for Prevention of Laundering of Proceeds Derived from Criminal Activity. It has Burisma and Hunter Biden's name and his partners all over it. What is it?
What that is, it's a notification from the government of Latvia to the government of Ukraine about 2 or 3 weeks before Shokin was fired that they have suspicion that there's a vast money laundering transaction. Eventually, I have the documents there that show it. Those are in Ukrainian. I translated them. I even translated them myself with my app. And what they basically say is, make it simple, $14.3 million was moved from Ukraine into a phony company in Latvia owned by Viktor Pinchuk, another oligarch. It was made to look like a loan. It then moved to Cyprus, and then it was distributed to the board members. 14.3 million, except there are 2 names and no numbers next to it. Hunter Biden, Devin Archer. The prosecutor calls the Cypriot office, and Cypriot office is told, oh, you know the U.S. Embassy doesn't let me give you information on Hunter Biden. Devin Archer gets convicted a year later in the Southern District of New York for insider trading. We went and got the records of that trial. In the records of that trial, there's a $3.2 million deposit on that date from Cyprus. It's clearly the money. We've now been able to prove it the other way around. So you know what you call that? You call that a slam dunk money laundering case. When I was a U.S. attorney, I give this to one of my young prosecutors, 3-day trial. I don't even need a witness. I just have to authenticate the documents. I could give this to my most incompetent assistant U.S. attorney, and they come back with a conviction, even if his name is Hunter Biden. And I am outraged at the fact that Joe Biden isn't under investigation. This is ridiculous. It shows not only is the double standard applied to the media, they've intimidated our law enforcement. The man confessed to bribery. He confessed in the open to bribery.
So,
and I have the. And
go ahead.
They sort of like don't understand who I am. I have the records. This isn't Rudy Giuliani. This is the Latvian government. I've got a record here of an Austrian doctor who's the foremost doctor on poisoning. He saved the life of Viktor Yanovich. You remember the man?
Yeah. The guy whose face was...
A very good man. He could have saved...
He could have.
I went there. CIA briefing said he was the one man who could save Ukraine if Putin didn't kill him. Well, Putin didn't kill him, but he took his life away. He took his face away.
Yeah.
The doctor's name is Dr. Korpan. I remember it all these days because the name of the facility is the Rudolph Clinic. He's the foremost expert.
And now I'll read from an article in The Independent that Rudy was talking about this guy being poisoned. Viktor Yushchenko, every politician in Ukraine who turns to the West is in danger. The former Ukraine president, who survived a poisoning attempt in 2004, tells Kim Segupta in Kiev why he thinks Western nations underestimate the dangers of a resurgent Russia, which he hints was behind the attack on him. And you can see how his face got disfigured. He recovered quite nicely from that. The poisoning of the Ukrainian opposition leader Viktor Yushchenko in 2004 was a shocking act. Images of his face, disfigured by lesions and blisters, were seen across the world, and the fact that the attempted assassination had taken place while he was running in an election in a European state added to the sense of astonishment. Ukraine has experienced damaging turbulence since that attack 11 years ago. The vicious civil war and the annexation of Crimea by the Kremlin has left a society fractured on the front line of a new Cold War between Russia and the West. The scars Mr. Yushchenko bears have, to an extent, faded, but he believes that the threat to those who hold his pro-Western views has not. Other leaders, too, can become targets, he believes. Quote, every politician in this country and neighboring countries who turns towards the West is facing that kind of danger, end quote, he said. My poisoning took place because I had started taking steps toward the European Union. We have a neighbor who does not want this to happen. He added, what happened to me was a matter of surprise because it took place when things were meant to be peaceful. But we are in such a risky situation now that violent acts directed against individuals may still cause outrage, but should not come as a total surprise. And here you have a picture of his face after he was poisoned with mercury. After his poisoning, Mr. Yushchenko went on to win the presidential election. His chief opponent, Viktor Yanukovych, denied allegations that he was responsible for the administration of TCDD, the most potent dioxin and contaminant in Agent Orange, which resulted in Mr. Yushchenko having to campaign with his face half paralyzed and a catheter inserted into his back to inject painkillers into his spine. The original vote had been won by Mr. Yanukovych, but this was mired in widespread allegations of fraud, and after 13 days of street protests, the Orange Revolution, the Supreme Court ordered a runoff, with Mr. Yushchenko emerging victorious by 52% to 44%.
I just would like you to read the primary diagnosis of Mr. Shokin as of 3 months ago when he got rushed to the hospital.
Dear sir or madam, primary diagnosis, mercury poisoning.
The doctor says there's no other way it could have happened but with poisoning. I have the record in German that shows that the normal amount of mercury in your system is 2. He was at 9.2. He was at the point where his liver is already deteriorating. There's no question they attempted to kill him.
This is why he's in, because we've tried to reach out to him.
And our embassy will not allow him to come to the United States because our embassy is in this up to their neck, including the present one with Ambassador Phony Taylor, who testified. Phony Taylor is holding up this man coming to the U.S. because he can testify. This is not an unknown, anonymous whistleblower.
Right.
This is a man who's willing to tell you his name, Viktor Shokin. He's willing to put his hand on the Bible. He's willing to take the risk of perjury, and he's willing to say, Joe Biden bribed my president in order to get me fired. And he is also, and his colleagues, 4 or 5 more of them, able to show us how much more money went to the Bidens than we even know.
All right.
Including money laundered money.
So, Rudy.
And it's being covered up.
You and I were talking about this in a hallway yesterday. I was actually talking to your security, and I said, please keep this man safe, please. Because this is much bigger than the president. This is way beyond Donald Trump and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden. This truly is, if this is not exposed, we become a Mexico or a Ukraine. We are going down a road where you can't trust law enforcement, you can't trust our courts, you can't trust our media, you don't know who's dirty and who's not, and there is no real justice. We have to clean this up.
You haven't exaggerated it one bit. We are destroying equal justice under the law. We've been doing it at least since the Clinton fix.
Yes.
But then, on the other hand, they'll go after Republicans.
Oh, I know.
For things that are marginal or
Right.
things they make up.
Right.
Look what they did to Flynn. Look what they did to Papadopoulos. He shouldn't even spend 14 days in jail.
Carter Page. His
didn't do
life is
anything.
destroyed.
And I have reports in the newspapers of about 10 crimes that I am allegedly being investigated for by the Southern District of New York. And in each case, I can dispositively prove I didn't do it. I mean, one thing, I have vast financial holdings in Ukraine. You know what I said jokingly? But they can't tell jokes to report. I said, if you find it, I'll give you half. I don't have I have no holdings in Ukraine.
Right.
Totally untrue. They have evidence of a meeting with the president in which the president deputized Lev Parnas. There was no such meeting. There was supposed to be 5 people at the meeting. 4 people say it didn't take place. Only his lawyer says it took place. They go after liar after liar after liar. They credit the liar over the word of the president, like they did with Michael Cohen. These are sick people. Trump derangement syndrome is
100% fatal. We can only treat the symptoms.
I know the Southern District of New York. It's Ivy League. It's very brilliant, wonderful lawyers. They think they're smarter than the world, and of course they're perfect candidates for Trump derangement syndrome. And what happens is you lose all logic.
But I don't think it's just Trump derangement syndrome. I think it is we control the president. We control the agenda. He's coming in and blowing this nice little system up that we have going, and you're not getting away with it. It's why
they'll try to kill you.
Yes.
Yeah, like Mr. Shokin. Or they'll try to destroy you financially, like Mr. Papadopoulos. Or they'll try to destroy you
in every other way.
In any way they can. Yeah. And I think the problem, Glenn, is it's like cancer. There are different reasons for it. They're not all the same.
Yes.
Some of them are out of control, crazy ideologues. They really believe it. Some of them are Alinsky socialists. You know, anything. Yes. Because we're morally superior to you.
Right.
And some of them are just plain crooks. And the ones in the Ukraine are just plain crooks.
The rest of this I posted yesterday, but you can clearly see that the extent of this corruption is far more than we ever imagined. The extent and the depth of this goes back many, many years, and I believe it is the reason for why it is taking so long to see justice served.
The reason I'm in a lot of trouble in Ukraine is I uncovered an 8-year-long money laundering system that started probably in 2012 with $7.5 billion being laundered by Yanukovych, the president at the time, pro-Russian president at the time. He laundered it through American institutions, interestingly controlled by Democrats, controlled by one person who just came out of the Obama administration. Lots of connections to Democrats. $7.5 billion is getting laundered through these two particular banks. 9.5% interest on that to all the people participating every year. Wow. We know the Ukrainian people who participated in it. We know because I'm very close to the Ukrainian authorities. The U.S. has refused to be involved in that investigation. The U.S. Justice Department, FBI, refuses to be involved. I have letters here from prosecutors to the Justice Department begging them to get involved in that. They went to the Southern District with these allegations against Biden 2 months before me. The Southern District turned them away.
I know.
We could already have had this. We could have already had this whole thing investigated.
They keep saying, the Southern District said this and Congress said this, that when they looked at these documents, it was nothing but a conspiracy theory. It's not.
No.
If you come out and tell me how these documents are false,
right?
But that's an awful lot of documents that are false.
Well, then you have to have an investigation,
right?
You know, like they say,
right.
The charges against Biden have been debunked.
Right.
Show me the report.
Right. I'd love to see it.
I want to show you one other document that I think probably gets the President of the United States angrier than anything else, and you'll see why in a minute. This is an accounting report going back to 2017. This is during the Obama administration. The Ukrainians located $5.3 billion in foreign aid that was being misspent. About 80% of that is our money. That's what he keeps saying about, he was worried about how Ukraine spends money. Here's the proof. Not, Adam Schiff lies. Here's the proof. Now, the Ukrainians started to investigate this. 2 people from our embassy went to see them and told them, don't investigate it. We don't care. We don't care about the $5.3 billion of our taxpayers' money. And you say, well, why would they do that? And then there was even a lot more pressure. Why would they do that? Because what this shows is that our embassy was giving this money not to the government. They were giving it to NGOs. You know who the biggest NGO owner is?
Yeah, George Soros.
Oh, my God, anti-Semitic. We're anti-Semitic now.
I know.
We said the word George Soros. I'll be damned if you're going to call me anti-Semitic. I'm not anti-Semitic. I prosecuted Italian criminals. I prosecuted Jewish criminals. I prosecuted every kind of criminal imaginable. I even prosecuted some Martian criminals, I think.
Rudy.
This money is going to Democratic NGOs.
I know.
And they waste half of it The government gets half of it. And here's what the decent Ukrainians told me, and there are a lot of decent Ukrainians, that you guys, particularly under Obama, where corruption got much worse, they will all testify. You guys come here like Biden, and you lecture us on corruption. And then our people laugh at you because he and his son are two of the most corrupt people in the country. They all knew he was a joke.
Okay, I know you have to go, and I'm up against the time. Will you do me?
There are many more of these.
Will you do this? Can you convince me that this will come out, that these people will be judged and not in some
I'm going to try
heifer?
until I die, so they better kill me. I mean, there's no way they shouldn't be prosecuted. This should be in a federal court. I know federal courts. I know federal courts better than anybody. I will be completely immodest and say I was the most successful U.S. attorney in the last 50 years. These are out-and-out crimes. If anybody's afraid of prosecuting them, you make me the special prosecutor with 2 people and not $35 million. I'll prosecute every single one of them myself.
Please subscribe to our backup channels, Net4Truth USA 2 Patriot channel, BitChute.com/net4Truth USA, and drop.space/ Net4Truth USA. We fly so close to the target, we are on our 5th fighter jet. We will be relentless and persistent until the enemies of freedom are defeated. You can support this channel by using the links in the description, but for a $100 donation, I will personally send you a autographed hardcover special edition copy of Land of Childhood's Fears. Also, visit my bookstore at lulu.com/Net4Truth USA. If you are viewing this video on BitChute, you can use the links in the description to support us, or simply click the green $ dot on our video to support this channel. Thank you. Links are in the description section.